What's up, Dolphins fans? This is Nic Rohloff from Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. Loaded show for all of you today, and it starts with the Dolphins signing two players. Those both came in late last night and afternoon. The Dolphins also have a schedule leak. We'll talk about what that game is. And then to round out today's show, Tua Tagovailoa, is his extension coming soon after Jared Goff got paid yesterday? But before we get into the meats and potatoes of today's video, we are struggling in our Mayik Leaderboard. We put out a widespread challenge here at Chat Sports to see which channel can get the most likes. We are in the top 5, but we are in 5th place. The Raiders report, Cowboys report, Bears Now, and Steelers Talk all above us. So help a fan out here. Hit that thumbs up icon, and let's climb up this likes leaderboard. All right, this came in yesterday / this morning saying roster moves from the Dolphins. We have signed offensive lineman Ireland Brown and cornerback Jason Maitre. Now, this is intriguing because these two were at Dolphins rookie minicamp. There were over 27 players there trying out, but these two earned a roster spot, at least as of now. And with these two players coming on board, the Miami Dolphins roster currently sits at 90, which is the maximum amount of players you can have on your roster at any given time during the offseason. And then obviously when we get in the training camp in July and August, you have to cut down that roster to 53 going into the regular season. So on today's show, I wanted to introduce these two new Miami Dolphins players. We'll start with the corner, Jason Maitre. He started out and he has played 5 years at Boston College. He's originally from Massachusetts, but he transferred to Wisconsin for his 6th and final year. He's a 5'10", 180-pound corner. Reports are that he's viewed as a versatile cornerback safety hybrid, and as we know, safety is a big question mark for Miami. So if the Dolphins view him as a possible fit in that depth chart, then maybe they go with him. He played in 43 college games as well and started 28. This is a very experienced player who has seen action in Power 5 levels in the ACC and the Big Ten. And in 2023, he played in 12 games. He actually did some nice things. 29 tackles, allowed a completion percentage of 70.6, had 3 PBUs to 1 INT, only allowed a QB rating of 85.6 in NFL terms. That's pretty solid. It only was called for 3 penalties. So we'll see if Jason Maitre can make some noise in training camp and throughout OTAs to continue to push his way towards a 53-man roster spot. He's obviously going to have to show some nice things on special teams as well. All right, the other person the Miami Dolphins signed, Ireland Brown, the offensive lineman from Rutgers. Now, fun story about him. He actually began his collegiate career also at Boston College, but as a defensive tackle. Yes, you heard that correctly. He played 14 games at BC as a defensive tackle, 2 years, and then transferred to Rutgers, where he spent the final 3 seasons of his collegiate career for the Scarlet Knights. He was a left guard in 2021, and then played center in 2022, and played center in 2023 for only 1 game. He actually lost his spot as the starter in 2023. Only played 60 snaps for the Scarlet Knights this past season. So intriguing to see him make an impression on this Dolphins coaching staff and organization that they'd sign him to a contract knowing that he basically hasn't played football for 2 seasons because he didn't play at all in 2023. And when he played in 2022, well, he wasn't even that good anyway. He had a PFF grade of 47.7, a pass block of 57, run block of 50, and had 9 penalties called on him. So it's not like he flashed a lot of upside and talent for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights when he played in 2022, but obviously he impressed the coaching staff and Chris Grier enough to earn a roster spot, at least as of now. So welcome Ireland Brown and Jason Maitre into the Dolphins locker room. But I do have to ask you this question. Be honest with me. Have you heard of these two players before? Type Y for yes, type N for no. No disrespect here, but like I watch a lot of college football, and I never heard of these guys either. But hopefully I get proven wrong and these two show out and make the 53-man roster. It'll be a long shot, but if they do, obviously a good return on investment. All right, let's move on to the second portion of today's show, and it is the schedule leak for the Miami Dolphins. And it is actually that the Dolphins are hosting the first Thursday night football game of the year on Amazon Prime. They are taking on our division rival, the Buffalo Bills, Thursday, September 12th in week 2. I'm very excited for this game. It's always fun when the Dolphins and Bills face off. I hate the Bills more than any other team right now in the NFL, specifically the AFC East for sure. And I'm hoping the Miami Dolphins are able to get a win, and it sounds like a win to me because Miami has had success against Buffalo early on in the year. Now, it usually does come during the day when it's a little bit sunny. The heat is beating down on these Bills players not used to this weather. They're kind of getting bailed out, if you will, by this game being on a primetime night game because it won't be as hot. It won't be as the sun won't be beating down on you as much. So Bills get a little bit of an advantage there and a bailout, if you will. But I still think Miami will be able to get a win, and it will be fascinating to see how the rest of the schedule unfolds. Will the Dolphins start at home the first 2 weeks of the year? Because it would be kind of a tough turnaround for Miami to be on the road and then come home for Thursday Night Football in week 2 to start off the NFL season. But I'll tell you what, we will have you covered either way because the official Dolphins schedule is released tomorrow. If you're watching this on Tuesday, Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time is the official release. Hit that sub button because we will have a video tomorrow breaking down the full Miami Dolphins schedule, but we do know they'll be hosting the Buffalo Bills in week 2. Before we get on to the Tua Tagovailoa extension talks, we are sponsored by Prize Picks. Shout out to PP for sponsoring today's video, and they're giving you a first deposit match up to $100 when you download the app and use code CLNS, or just hit that link, prizepicks.com/CLNS, and use code CLNS. It's so easy to play, which is why it is so fun if you ask me. You just pick more, you pick less on 2 or more player stat projections, and during the NBA postseason, NHL postseason, you can get in on the action as it's heating up. I am going to the hardwood tonight for a little Knicks Pacers action, more than Obi Toppin, 8.5 points, more than on Josh Hart, 12.5 rebounds, and then less than on Dante DiVincenzo, the big ragu, 22.5 points. 3-player entry to win 5 times my money, but there is a way for you to have 100 times your money on one entry with as little as 4 correct picks. So get started today and join the fastest growing and most fun daily fantasy sports app. It's so easy to play. They got specials flying out left and right with Demons, Goblins, Taco Tuesday. You have Flex Friday. They do it all for you. So get started one more time, prizepicks.com/CLNS, or just download the app in your app store and use code CLNS. All right, let's close out today's video by talking about Tua's contract extension and if it is going to come soon. And why this has sparked up and really piqued my interest right now again is, well, because of what happened yesterday in the NFL. And that is Jared Goff, the quarterback for the Detroit Lions, getting a massive 4-year extension to stay in Detroit. It's a 4-year, $212 million contract. He obviously was the number 1 overall pick for the Rams, was dealt in the Matthew Stafford deal to Detroit, and he's been solid for the Lions over the past couple seasons. And the first thing I thought of when I saw this Jared Goff extension come across Twitter and social media was, well, this feels a lot like what Tua Tagovailoa could fetch in an extension from the Miami Dolphins. Like, these two guys feel like they're in the same tier as quarterbacks in the NFL, and I'll tell you even more about that in just a second. But this is the actual Goff contract. We mentioned 4 years, $212 million, $170 million guaranteed, and $53 million in annual salary. And there's been rumors out there that Tua's contract extension could be 4 years for $220, which obviously wouldn't be that different, but it would be $55 a year rather than the $53 Goff got. But maybe if Chris Grier does an extension right now, it would be this exact deal, or maybe a little bit more, just like a slight midge, but we'll talk about a potential extension here in a second. But I want to know, you see that extension that was just on screen? Would you give that same exact extension, 4 years, $212, $53 million a year with $170 million guaranteed, to Tua? If you would, type HY for hell yes, and if you want to stay away, type HN for hell no. Well, before I give you my full answer, I do think it's important to compare these two quarterbacks. As I did mention, I believe they are in the same tier. And the stats back that up. I mean, Goff has played in 4 more games than Tua and only thrown for about 800 more yards and change. So you would have assumed that if Tua played 4 more games, he would have easily matched or surpassed Jared Goff's passing number. You could also say the same for touchdowns. Obviously, Tua already has more interceptions, so he would throw more. But the QB rating is slightly higher for Tua Tagovailoa as well. And I don't think this is something that you can say, well, Tua has the best wide receiver core in the NFL and the best wide receiver duo in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Don't act like Jared Goff doesn't have any weapons either, by the way. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, the 2 running backs, an elite offensive line. So both of these quarterbacks have a very good system around them with good offensive-minded head coach, Mike McDaniel for Tua, and then Ben Johnson for Jared Goff. So I do truly believe that these 2 QBs are in the same tier of NFL quarterbacks. They are on that fringe top 10, but definitely top 12, top 13 range. I'm not going to list my top quarterbacks in the NFL off my head right now, but I can confidently tell you guys that Tua and Jared Goff are both in ranges 8 to 12. I can guarantee you that. So if you're asking me if I would do that extension Jared Goff got, I am doing that extension because I think it's fair value for Tua. It's fair value for the Dolphins. And some of you might think that it might be a little bit too much money to pay to Tagovailoa. But here's the thing. Quarterbacks are getting paid that much money. And you just got to pony it up. You got a top half quarterback in the NFL. The grass is not always greener on the other side if you tried to find a replacement for Tua. So, yeah, I'm taking 4 years for $53 million if Tua would accept that from Chris Grier. But the main question that we have to ask ourselves now is, would you do that extension in this offseason, or would you play a waiting game and really gamble to see what you have for another season? Because Tua could be franchise tagged after the 5th-year option comes to a close for 2 seasons. Now, that could create a messy situation between Tua and the Dolphins, which you never want to see, like we were close to having with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Don't want that happening in the 305. But it is serious because he hasn't been able to win in the postseason just yet. And we don't know. Like, the progress is there. The signs are there. But the question is, do you want to do it now and lock it in, or wait and see if he could improve another year? And if you do wait and he does improve another year, well, guess what? The price is only going to go higher. It's a very intriguing game that Chris Grier has to play. Do you take the sure-handed thing now and hope that he continues to progress, or do you wait and gamble because you could wait and see and like, hey, listen, Tua might not be the guy long-term, or you can wait and be like, oh, Tua is the guy long-term, but it also costs us $60+ million rather than 54, 55. All right, that's going to do it for today's video because, well, we are going to cover everything surrounding the Miami Dolphins. So make sure you hit that sub button. And as Tua's rumors continue to progress throughout the offseason surrounding his extension talks, we'll have it covered. So hit that sub button, join us for the offseason, and I'll see you on the next video. Go Fins.